Happy Sunday, my loves. Let's get right into it. God, I ask that you deliver the message to the intended receiver and continue to watch over all that are believers. All right, let's get right into it. Alright, so I have in their fields and hater. And what's interesting is in their fields, which I'm pretty sure in their feelings, it's a condom coming out of a purse. So I like to give different scenarios. So one, I'm picking up, and I know I always say, so I'm always congested, and it don't make it no better that someone was coughing around me yesterday, and I woke up feeling like really, but I'm getting the energy that if this is a relationship, it is somebody got in their feelings. Okay. Yeah. So these flip, but I don't want to take them, but this one came out. So it says, get in the room. Hotel, motel, suite, business, and pleasure. So, and at the bottom of this deck, I have don't want to hear it. So, I get the energy that somebody, and this is one scenario, one experience, someone hooked up with someone out of spite. And it might be someone that you knew, or maybe you hooked up with someone out of spite. But with the get in the room and the in their feelings with the condom showing on the picture, it's giving me that you or the person in your energy. So I'm gonna just say someone got with someone out of spite, or because they were in their feelings, they felt like something happened, or they felt like, they felt like they wanted revenge or something like that, and they went ahead and got a room with someone. They may have told you that they were busy, they were working late, or something of that nature, but in all reality, they got a room with someone, or they're getting a room, or again, it could be you. Be careful, and again, it could be you, it could be the person in your energy, but if this is you, be very careful about doing things out of spite. I teach my kids that sex means sacred energy exchange, and I didn't know that until, when I started my journey. And to me, even when you use protection, there's still a chance to catch feelings, wind behind it. You can still catch things other than the baby and the STD. Don't do things out of spite. Again, if this is you, don't get with someone because you're upset or because you're trying to get back at someone, because that's not going to make you feel any better. Like in that moment, it's going to make you feel like, I did what you did, but it starts to eat at your soul. It starts to, like, let's just say you're here on your journey, and then you go and make a conscious decision, and then it like bring you back down here. So now you're gonna start operate on this level because you knew better, but you didn't choose to do better. So it's like, okay, well, I'm going to be petty, and now you're going to, feed off of petty energy. Now, if this is someone else, I get that you might have said something to them. You may have caught them doing something, and it got them in their feelings. It got them to a point where they felt the best thing to do is get a room with someone, go f off, go mess off with somebody. And they may have told you that it was a business opportunity or it was a business meeting, but it wasn't. And again, take it as it resonates. Not everything is going to resonate with you. So if it sounds like your story, if it fit, cool. What they say, if it don't apply, let it fly. But let's tap into some childhood traumas. And again, with childhood trauma, with this deck in particular, it's more of the things that maybe you feel, or maybe that has happened that's, causing you to make the same decisions or make the same mistakes or repeat the same cycles. Okay? So I have pressure, meteor, emotional disconnect, guilty, and untruthful. So I was always, and at the bottom I have excuses. Everyone gave me an excuse and I inherited. So for this in particular card, I'm going to read this one, but with the everyone gave me excuses and I inherited, it's like, you're one of them people, or the person in your energy is one of them people who, it's like, why are you always like giving me an excuse for everything? It's because growing up, they or you was always given an excuse. Like, for example, I'm gonna take you to the park, and then 10 minutes later or 30 minutes later when it's time, oh, I can't because of this. And, I'm going to do this with you. Oh, I can't because of this. It's like there's always an excuse for why they couldn't show up. So then you or your person or someone around you inherited that type of energy where it's like they can't help or you can't help but to make excuses for everything because that's just what you were used to. Sometimes I feel better telling a lie than saying the truth. That energy is more so a parent or a guardian made you lie for them, and then you got in trouble for lying to them. So it's like they taught you how to lie. However, lying got you what you wanted. You were taught that lying was more comfortable to those around you. So it was like, well, if you lie about it, they didn't tell you that obviously, but they taught you that. If you lie, you picked up on it. If you lied about it, I see by telling the truth, people overreact. But if I lie about it, it's more, it's easy. I feel guilty for my childhood whims. So it's like you feel it's your fault you went through something. You feel like, or the person in your energy feels like it's their fault that they were touched. It's their fault they were misguided and misused. It's their fault they wasn't, let's say you were a homeschool kid and the real reality that your parents kept you home was to hide the abuse or hide the, neglect that was going on, not really teaching you. And now you feel guilty for that because now you have to pick up the pieces on lack of education or lack of resources or lack of knowing. In reality, it's not your fault. Kids don't ask to be here, and regardless of whether it was a one-night stand, whether it was, mom and dad was together, but dad decided he didn't want it, mom and dad was together, someone got on drugs, regardless, we were given to these people, and these people were given to us, vice versa. More so blessings, but sometimes lessons, sometimes to guide us, sometimes to put us on that path, and sometimes parents just don't choose to take that path. But it wasn't your fault. And then is something wrong with me? I can never be emotionally attached. So with that, I'm getting someone who, let's say you have children and you don't kiss them all the time, you don't hug them all the time, and then you start to wonder, like, is it me? Like, what's wrong with me? Like, why can't I give that type of affection? It's like when they cry, you know, you might just look at them like, what are you crying for? Instead of like tending to them. But again, that comes from, or again, this could be someone else, so it may not be you, but if you're wondering, like, why is this person so emotionally disconnected from me? It's because they wasn't taught that it was like their emotions didn't matter. Their emotions got kind of pushed to the side. Their emotions, it was just like, why are you crying all the time? A boy don't supposed to cry. Or why are you crying all the time? You know, you're fine. I dealt with it. You know, that's what was told to you and told to them. So now it feels like, you know, they learned that. Again, it's so much. And when you, like, you don't have to go to school for 15, 20 years to know psychology. You can just take psychology courses, or you can just listen to videos and study people. Sometimes just studying people can get you to understand, like, oh, okay, that's why they act that way. And then I was never allowed to show my true potential. So I feel like you or someone else wasn't. So I'm gonna give you two different experiences. One, the person that's in your energy, they were never allowed to be who they wanted to be. So it's like now it may feel like they're childish or they're doing childish things. But that's just because they wasn't able to be a child. And that's you know, if you're the listener, maybe you wasn't allowed to be a child. Maybe, you know, your parents or grandparents or whoever raised you, foster parents, you know, aunties, uncles, cousins, whoever raised you didn't allow you to be you. It was like your needs was met halfway and your wants was pushed to the side. It's like, I fed you, I clothed you, I bathed you, but what about, you know, me being an artist? What about me liking to draw, playing basketball, cheerleading, dancing, golf, hockey, wrestling, karate, boxing, fitness? Like, what about all the things that I wanted to do and I enjoy? Like, it's bad enough, you know, I had to be around people who, you know, lied their way through life, but then now, you know, I lied for you and I lied to make sure, you know, your life was good, you know, as a child perspective. But what about me? Like, what about what I want to do and what you wanted to do or what that person wanted to do? Those needs were never met. So now you feel like, or they feel like, you know, like, hey, you know, the person in your energy is like, hey, you're trying to figure out why they acting childish. It's like, because I never even got to be a child. I was always an adult. Now it's like they're aging backwards because they were always the responsible, independent adult, or maybe you, and now it's just like, now I want to be a kid. Now I want to just sit on my phone and, you know, go outside and get on the swings and slides and stuff like that. And me personally, sometimes when I go to the park with my children, I would get on the swings, and it just makes me feel free. Like, I got older kids, and then I got one that's not so much older. And with my older ones, I was always, like, they're close in age, so we were always at the park, always doing stuff together, and I did it. But as I've gotten older, like, I had film at one decade in my life, and then I had my last one at one decade in my life. Well, not this current decade, I'm sorry. And with that, when I'm at the park sometimes, I feel free. Like, I just wanna be I can't sing. That, like, it feels like that. Like, you just, it makes you, like, when you're not accustomed to live, like, when you're a child and you're able to be a child, you don't really want to go back to that because you've already experienced that. But when you were put into an independent, you know, box, or had to grow up early, now it's like, oh, this is what it's like to be a child. And sometimes with them, I didn't think about that, but with the little one, I'll jump up. Like, I sometimes I feel guilty for, you know, it's like acting like a child. Sometimes I feel guilty for that. Like I'm like, oh no, I shouldn't be. I'm thinking like everybody at the park looking at me on this swing, and probably nobody is looking at me, and nobody's even worried about that. But my kids love it, and I love it. But then I'm not used to that, so it's like, you know. So I just feel like maybe sometimes you get into this energy of this is fun, like. This is fun. Like, even if you was a child and then you went from child to preteen to adult, like, you didn't even get to live teenage years. And me, personally, I feel like kids, teenagers, preteens should be kids, teenagers, and preteens. Obviously, kids and preteens can't do the same things as teenagers, but what I teach my kids is I want them to mess up in their 20s. Like, I want them to, do things that they're going to learn from. Like, I'm not going to always be here, and I'm not going to be able to, like, this. Like, I know it's going to come a point in time where they're going to have to make decisions on their own, and I want them to. Like, yes, I would like to be a grandmother at whatever point in life, but I'm not rushing it. Like, I want you to live. I want you to do teenage stuff. I want you to, no, I don't want them to go to parties and clubs and stuff. And I'm not going to lie. Like, I plan on, like, I'm very good with hospitality. I love throwing gatherings and things like that. So I plan to, like, throw the club at home. Maybe they friends or acquaintance, whatever it is that, if the energy feel right, then they're welcome in the house. But I usually don't have company. And or rent out something and just let everybody, hang out and, just that type of stuff. Like, some kids like to drink, or will try drinking and some won't. If they tried that, then hey, this are the rules. Let me pick you up, let me drop you off. Don't worry about driving, or let's do it here to where you can go in your room and go to sleep. I want you to know what it's like to be a teenager. Try a lot of different sports. Try different majors if you decide to go to college or, trade school, and wake up one day and be like, you know what, I don't even want to do this no more, without having children or without having that type of responsibility behind you. So I say all that to say that someone or a lot of people or a lot of, energies didn't get to choose that. They did not get to close my door. They did not get to choose, they didn't get that option. They didn't get that option to, it was just like kid, adult, or baby, toddler, adult, because some people get taught to lie very early on, and then I have pressure. I was always pressured to be on top. I was always pressured to do things I didn't want to do. I was always pressured. So this energy may not be with the energy that didn't get to do anything, or it could be you were pressured to do things you didn't want to do, as far as lying, or let's say your dad or your mom was a heavy football or basketball fan. They made you play sports and you didn't really want to play sports. You just want to sing, or you want to color, or be an artist, or draw. But it's like you were made to do all these things you didn't want to. Like, for instance, I know some cultures, it's like, you're born a doctor, you're born a dentist, you're born a lawyer. Like, they make their kids do that. And their kids end up later regretting it. Like, yeah, you make good money, but they end up later regretting it because this is not what I wanted to do. Like, I was forced to do it because I knew that my resources would leave if I didn't do it. So, definitely, I was trying to say I want to use this deck, but definitely, and I encourage people to go to therapy too. Some people got this mind frame. It's more so the older generation, but they have this mind frame that, when I say older generation, I don't mean like old people or nothing like that. I meant like maybe your mom or your mom's mom or something like that. But they have this thing where it's like, I'm not about to go tell this person all my business, but you get on social media and tell everybody your business. But you call up, Auntie Jan and tell all your business, but you're not going to go to a professional who went through school, trained to help you through your trauma, not someone who want to hear your trauma and use it against you. So, Okay, give me some messages to close this reading out. But yeah, I definitely, encourage therapy, counseling, spiritual counseling. It don't have to be, the traditional type of counseling. I have earth and grounding, divine timing, and at the bottom is holy love, and at the bottom of that is ask and receive. So, it is asking you to ground yourself. Again, I'm big on hugging trees, going outside with your shoes off, drinking a lot of water. For those who are big water drinkers, read the ingredients, because one day I was looking and I looked at the ingredients in the water and it has so many different ingredients, and I'm like, I thought water was water, but that's a little side note. But yeah, if you're a water drinker, definitely read the ingredients. But it's asking you to ground yourself. Meditation, sound bowls. Now, I do have a sound bowl. My kids, I taught them how to use it. Even my baby, she knows how. I'm so proud of them, and I'm proud of myself, just because I never experienced none of the spiritual healing or spiritual practices in my family. Like, I'm the first one that I've ever known. Like, people will say like, oh, this person did it, but I don't see nothing to show for it. But I'm so proud that they're receivers, because not a lot of people think, when you hear certain things like, oh no, that's hoodoo, voodoo, that's the devil, that's this, that's that. Sometimes people are afraid of what they don't know and what other people tell them. But if you're a person that like music or like instrumentals, you do sound bowl therapy, and you can do it on YouTube for free. Like, you don't have to go nowhere, and just put it in your ear. And for me, it was really hard for me to close my eyes, even in my own home, because I still felt like people was watching me. I always feel like somebody's watching me. That's how I felt. But definitely ground yourself. With ask and receive, once you ask for that healing, or ask for you to get rid of this energy that's getting in the room and sleeping around, or you sleeping around and getting in the room with people where it's haters in your energy, once you ask to remove that spirit or remove that type of energy out of your life, be okay with receiving it. When you ask, it's gonna happen, and you can't double back and be like, well, why they not talking to me no more? I feel lonely. It's gonna be lonely. It's definitely gonna be. It's a lonely road. I know that myself, but lonely equals peace. Like, I don't like all the extras. But with divine timing, everything happens the way it's supposed to happen in the time that it's supposed to happen. People think we're on their time, but no, we're on the universe's time, God's time. Again, whatever you believe in, we're on that time. We're not on your time, because again, time is an illusion. It don't even really exist. Sometimes I be wondering, if we didn't have time and stuff, would we just go by like the day and night? Like, oh, it's getting dark, and time is put there to calculate money and calculate, your steps and your movement and how long you did this, and just to put people on a schedule, really. But yeah, definitely ask and receive. You will be tested. You will be tested once you ask for that. So let's say it's this, and you're asking to release those who hurt you, and then they leave, and then they try to come back, and then they're like, oh, I changed, and then you take them back. You're going to be tested. Or let's say this person or let's say you had a porn addiction or a sex addiction or whatever type of addiction you have. Let's say you have that, and then you ask God to release that, and then you turn around and start seeing all these small clips of, sex, or you start hearing voices like, or you feel like you can't get aroused when you're sleeping with, your spouse or sleeping with someone else. That's just a test, and you have to overcome that. And once you overcome tests, you'll feel so much stronger. Right now, I'm on a journey of sobriety from THC. That's all I've ever encountered myself with. And right now, I am 4 months in, and this is the longest I've went in 12 years. And at first, it was hard, like the first few days. But then I was like, I literally was like, hey, you know, and I don't talk to God like, oh God, no, I talk like my regular self because God knows my intentions and God knows where I'm coming from. And I was like, I need your help. Like, I need you to not even make me even think about it. It's just like, because I was trying to prove to myself that it wasn't holding me back. And then now that I know that it wasn't holding me back, it was just like, oh, I just did it just because I was doing it. But I'm still, you know, progressing. I gave myself a time frame. So I didn't say I was going to quit. I just gave myself a time frame. And it's been going good. You know, I asked and I received. And then I remember we were out, and it was like maybe 3 days after I asked, and I was like, I'm done with it. I was out to eat, and we were just getting finished, and this guy walked up to us, and he's like, hey, you know, here goes some, you know, bud. And I'm like, he's like, and the whole issue too was I was driving far to get it because I had moved. And he's like, oh, I'm right around the corner. And I'm like, oh, okay. And in my mind, I'm like, first of all, I'm an overthinker. So I'm like, oh, what if it got fentanyl in it? Like, and it may not even be nothing like that. But then I immediately went to, this is a test. Like, you're trying to see, like, the higher ups is trying to see, am I going to fall for it? And no, I'm not. Like, And I didn't throw it away. It's still in my possession, but I haven't even thought twice about it until I smell it. And I'm like, I really don't have the urge or the desire to do this no more. Like, not no more, but like how I used to. Like, I felt like I had to have an appetite and things like that, but I didn't. And I'm proud of myself. But you can overcome as well. So don't let this past energy as a child, or this current energy, this hater energy, this cheating energy, this lying and deceptive energy make you fall back into that trap. Ask, you know, for guidance and be okay with receiving it. All right, that's all I have for you. Bye.